job interviews can be quite intense, so the temptation for you to compromise with your interviewer can be quite high. For example, the most common scenario where candidates feel constrained to compromise in job interviews would be to answer interview questions as quickly as possible for the sake of not coming across as not sufficiently prepared for the job interview. When in reality, you should understand that the questions you're getting asked are selected in such a way that they are difficult enough to put pressure on you as a candidate. So the best approach when preparing to answer an interview question would be to take your time before answering it. Furthermore, if you have the slightest doubt over that interview question, ask them to repeat it or ask them to clarify it, ask some follow-up and some challenge questions even. Furthermore, if the question is on the longer side, you could also consider writing it down and win more time to find the best possible answer. And this advice of taking your time before answering any interview question also applies to the follow-ups and possible challenge questions during your job interviews. The second thing you should pay particular attention to, especially in job interviews with high-performing company, is about sharing confidential information. Sharing even tiny little metric that might be subject to a non-disclosure agreement is the end of your interview. And I found this numerous times, and the best approach to prevent this would be to prepare this in advance, to know exactly what type of information is subject to non-disclosure agreements. Try to see how can you communicate that story without sharing any bit of that of information that might be subject to that non-disclosure agreement. Some interviewers even ask you on purpose, some slightly uncomfortable questions, exactly to find out if you are the type of person who may spill the beans with these things. And the third topic I want to talk about here would be the types of stories you want to share in these job interviews. And what happens here is that many candidates would have some stories they would feel particularly attached to, some life events that they would find extremely relevant when it comes to showcasing a behavior during a job interview. What happens is that in job interviews, you should always prefer examples from your professional expertise, because what happens interviewing with a major or with a corporation, they would prefer examples from your corporate experience, because those are the most predictable of your performance if you get the job. So what I'm suggesting you here would be to always prioritize business stories versus personal stories, even if you feel like the personal story might, be more impactful and might contain even more drama. You would only want to share about your side hustles, about your nonprofits, as an exceptional example during job interviews. So I hope you found this useful, and thank you very much for watching.